All right, listen up. If you're watching this right now, instead of tackling that giant, looming task you've been actively dodging all week, well, you're exactly where you need to be. Today, we're doing a deep dive explainer on a perspective that completely shatters our modern obsession with just having good ideas. It's going to blend raw, hardcore discipline with a profound sense of spiritual accountability. Consider this your ultimate, no nonsense wake up call. Let's get right into it. So, we all know the stereotype, right? You picture that visionary sitting in some dimly lit, trendy cafe, nursing an overpriced matcha latte, just talking the ear off anyone who listened about their quote-unquote $1 million idea that's absolutely going to change the world. We culturally worship the spark of genius, don't we? But the source material we're breaking down today hits us with a really blunt question. If you strip away all the hype, what is the exact, tangible value of the greatest idea in human history if it just sits locked inside your head? Zero. Absolutely $0. Zero impact. The source is brutally honest here, pointing out that ideas, they're a dime a dozen. People pitch the next big thing every single day. But here's the reality check. Ideas do not pay the mortgage. No landlord on earth is going to accept world-changing paradigms as rent on the first of the month. You could literally be holding the cure to a global crisis in your brain, but without the absolute discipline to execute, it's totally worthless. The big takeaway? Do not let a brilliant idea die in your head just because you lacked the grit to bring it to life. Section 1. Ideas are completely worthless. The danger of the waiting game. Think about it. Just thinking gets you nowhere. It's kind of funny, actually, how voluntarily we push today's work to tomorrow. Tomorrow is magically the busiest day of the week, right? Because that's the fantasy land where we banish all our responsibilities. But our source insists that tomorrow just isn't a viable option. When procrastination creeps in, you don't negotiate with it, you attack it. Look, we are so often ruled by our feelings. You wake up, you don't feel like getting out of bed, you don't feel like grinding, but the warning here is stark. If you don't feel like working hard, you better feel like losing, because that's exactly what's going to happen. At the end of your feelings is literally nothing. The alternative? Living by principle. And a principle means saying, I'm going to do exactly what I said I was going to do regardless of how I feel right now. That's how you win. Moving on to Section 2. Execution over good intentions. Why meaning well isn't enough. Here's the harsh truth. Society doesn't reward intentions, it only rewards execution. The source reminds us that having a good intention has never, in the history of mankind, helped anyone lose weight, finish a degree, or pay a bill. Meaning well and doing well are just in two totally different universes. We don't own our intentions, we only own our execution. And honestly, nobody cares where you started. Nobody cares if you had a rough go of it. The only question the real world asks is, can you execute? Can you actually put points on the scoreboard and dominate your space? Check out this incredible quote from the source. Execution is worship. This is fascinating because it perfectly mirrors the profound Islamic concept of tawakkul. That's the idea of relying entirely on God, but only after you've physically done everything in your power. It's the classic teaching, trust in God but tie your camel. You can't just pray for an A+ on an advanced physics exam if you haven't even cracked the textbook, expecting an angel to swoop down and fill out your Scantron. You gotta study. You can't just talk about your goals. You have to tie the camel. Execution is the actual physical manifestation of your faith and ambition. Section 3. The superpower of desperation. Why having zero options is an advantage. Now, for our second major hook, we usually think of desperation as this terrible, weak place to be. But the source completely flips this on its head. It argues that true winners actually love it when they lack resources and their backs are slammed against the wall. Why? Because having zero options is actually your ultimate advantage. When it's literally do or die, that is exactly when your highest standards are born. Having no safety net completely destroys the luxury of procrastination. It literally forces you to get better and builds those long-term survival skills you desperately need. So what's the real takeaway here? Successful people don't just sit around twiddling their thumbs waiting for perfect conditions. Let me tell you, perfect conditions are a total myth. Instead, they operate with a sense of absolute desperation and 100% urgency all the time. Think about how incredibly fast you clean your entire house when a guest texts you saying they're 5 minutes away. It's like a blur, right? That is the power of absolute urgency. If you want real personal freedom, you have to earn it in that exact kind of beast mode. The process is supposed to be hard because it's designed to weed out everybody who's just waiting for things to be easy. Which brings us to Section 4. Tiny decisions, massive disasters. How to accidentally ruin your life. This part is almost a little too relatable. Because look, nobody wakes up on a random Tuesday, stretches, and says, you know what? Today is the day I maliciously destroy my entire life. No way. It happens through this sneaky snowball effect of micro failures. Step 1, you hit snooze. Step 2, well, now you're running late, so you grab some awful junk food in a wrapper for breakfast. Step 3, now you're feeling gross and sluggish, so you ignore that vital email, or maybe you ignore your bank account. Step 4, 5 years blink by, you wake up, look around, and go, how on earth did I get here? It's these teeny tiny micro decisions compounding day after day that completely derail us. So how do we stop the bleeding? The source lays out a direct plan to flip the switch. First, you have to be brutally honest with yourself about your actual effort level. Stop blaming society, stop blaming the economy, or Mercury being in retrograde for why you didn't get stuff done today. You need to take extreme ownership of your lack of results. Imposing strict daily discipline right now is the only cure. And the source makes this brilliant observation. Lazy people will do a tiny fraction of the work and genuinely wonder why they aren't winning. But true winners, they work as hard as humanly possible and still lay awake at night terrified that they're being lazy. All right, Section 5, the 86,400 seconds rule, the most valuable asset on Earth. Let's slow things down for a second for an existential reality check. We're talking about the single most valuable asset on planet Earth, 86,400. That is the exact number of seconds deposited into your life bank account every single morning. The source reminds us that you don't actually need awards or validation or the perfect studio lighting to succeed. The only things you truly need are breath in your lungs and those 86,400 seconds. But here is the massive catch. That clock is constantly ticking down, and in real life, there are no timeouts. You can't just pause the universe while you figure things out. Really let the gravity of this sink in. An hour lost today is an hour lost forever. Whatever complaints you're holding on to right now, whatever elaborate excuses you're manufacturing to put off your dreams, there is somebody sitting in a hospital bed right now begging the Creator for just a fraction of the opportunity and the health that you are casually taking for granted. The message is crystal clear, guys. Do not blow it. And finally, Section 6, wake up and execute, the divine gift of breath. This is where the source brilliantly merges that relentless hustle culture with deep spiritual accountability. Listen to this. Don't pray no more. I gave you life. I gave you breath. Use it. Now, obviously, this isn't saying prayer is a bad thing. It's saying that passive prayer, without any active effort on your part, is basically an insult to the divine gifts you've already been handed. It loops right back to tying your camel. You've been given life, breath, and physical capability. To just sit around with a bad attitude, hitting the snooze button, waiting for a magical miracle while you squander the literal miracle of breath, that is taking your life for granted. You have the breath, so use it. Here is the raw reality of time. You do not have forever. Seriously, way too many people are walking around acting like they've got 300 years on the clock. Newsflash, we get maybe 70 or 80 years if we hit the jackpot. You are running out of time, so you need to start acting like it. Wake up and get after it early when everyone else is still sleeping. Erase that terrifying what-if question from your future by putting in the absolute maximum amount of work right now. You've got to train yourself to treat every single day like it's your Super Bowl. There are no practice runs in life, and there sure aren't any commercial breaks. At the end of the day, the only person holding you back is you. Not your parents, not your boss, not the economy. You are in the driver's seat. You alone determine whether your life is going to be an incredible, exciting adventure or a really boring tragedy. The dream only becomes reality when you commit to leaving your blood, sweat, and tears on the field. Every single day boils down to a simple binary equation. It's either a win or a loss. Did you do the work you promised yourself you'd do, or did you fold to your feelings? Because that is literally all that matters. So I want to leave you with one final, lingering question based on everything we've unpacked today. You have exactly 86,400 seconds today. Your camel is standing right there, waiting to be tied. So, are you going to execute with violence of action, or are you going to voluntarily push your life, your potential, and your divine gifts to tomorrow? The choice is entirely up to you. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Now get out there and execute.